My name is Victor Mbachi. I hope you're doing well and you're staying safe in such a time as this. I know these are trying times and a lot of things have shown up in the last few months. But guess what? Like I've always told you in my previous videos, do not give up, do not relent. Keep pushing yourself, keep pushing the lines because there are better days ahead and the future is very bright, okay? So first of all, let me start by thanking you for having to click on this video to watch. The truth is, previous videos have been very helpful to a lot of our viewers, and of course the reviews and the feedback has been absolutely phenomenal. Going by feedbacks and requests from a few viewers and of course friends around, I've been mandated to talk about the subject personal growth. Now it's not going to be a one-time thing. We're going to make it a series because there's a whole lot to talk about when we deal with the issue of personal growth. I see a lot of people in my generation who just wants to show up and blow up. Excuse me. There are phases in life, there are levels in life, and you must understand that you are meant to grow through a process and not just show up. And that's why I see a lot of people show up suddenly without growing up, and then they fizzle out. They just suddenly fizzle out. And you're wondering, I used to know this person, I used to know that person, he was doing XYZ, but I mean, where has he gone to? The truth is, certain people just showed up without the right process of growth. Okay? So it's very heavy in my heart because I have also gone through that process, and I'm also in that process of my personal growth, and that's what I'd like to share with you on the subject personal growth. So the very truth about personal growth, like I've always told anybody who cares to listen, is that personal growth is a lifelong process. It is not a one-time thing. Please don't mix it up. That you hit a milestone doesn't mean the end of your growth. All right. So the most important thing you should understand is that every day you live and every day, as your age counts, you should be able to grow. There are certain things we did as young chaps that we cannot do now, not because we are not able to do them, but because we have outgrown certain things and we have come to understand life better. All right. So I often say to people, keep finding yourself. There is more to you than you know now. I'm sure that there are certain things you know about yourself today as a person, either in business, in marriage, in your career, in sports, than you knew 10 years back. Nothing really changed about you. You are just finding yourself. So I'd like to encourage someone today to keep finding his or herself. Keep finding yourself. Make a decision to keep finding yourself. That is where you bring into perspective your personal growth, okay? In business analysis, now, the analyst will tell you that for you to solve a problem or for you to provide a solution, there must be a need, okay? Same thing applies with personal growth. You do not grow in capacity, you do not grow to achieve certain things, you do not grow to operate at certain levels if there is no need, or if there are no needs around. So you must find the basis of your needs, okay? So in this series, I'm going to be talking to you about the ABC of personal growth. I'll try and make my teachings as rudimental as possible. I know there are a lot of materials, resource materials around you on the internet, books and all that you have at your fingertips. But I want to talk to you today about personal growth in a rudimental way, such that you can find meaning to them and you'll be able to evaluate your life as possible to be able to track your growth record or to see if you need to begin a process of growing yourself. Now, let me tell you that we live in a generation where people just want to get somewhere somehow. Okay? I said that earlier when I started. We live in a generation where certain people just want to show up somewhere, somehow. They don't care. All they want to do is get up. Now, this was a quote that came to my mind many years back while I was thinking about my personal growth. We are in a generation that wants to jump up and not grow up. Now, the interesting thing about that is when you jump up, you would always come down. But when you grow up, you stay up. Okay? When you jump up, you would always come down. There is nothing to sustain you at that level. I mean, let's take, for instance, the kids going to the park and, they want to have fun around, having to jump on a trampoline. The interesting thing is they are catching fun every time they jump up because the trampoline takes them very high, brings them down and go up and down in that motion for a long time. But guess what? The reality sets in when they get off the trampoline to say, oh, I actually didn't grow up. I was busy jumping up. One question for you today. Are you jumping up or are you growing up? A good example of people who jump up are those who just show up in the limelight. Like I said earlier, they just show up. They jump very high. Everybody sees them. They become, a local champion, a global figure and all that. And suddenly they fizzle out. What happened was that they were jumping up. Because if you grow up, the experiences and the skills you have acquired to get to that level will continue to run. It's inborn and not something you just want to show off. Okay? So I'm going to basically start with the letter A in the process of personal growth. Okay? Like I said, we'll make it as rudimental as possible, and we've called it the ABC of personal growth. So let's start with the letter A. Let's start with the letter A, because I tell you, that's the very, very, very starting point. That's the starting point of your personal growth. All right, so the letter A, which I'm going to be talking to you about today in this series, stands for accountability. Stands for accountability. Stands for accountability. Accountability is not the second thing or the third or the fourth process of your personal growth. Accountability is the first thing that comes to mind, or the first element you need if you have to grow as a person. Accountability. Now, let me tell you what accountability is. Accountability actually starts from the very moment you make a decision. Okay? Let's give an example. A guy gets an admission into school and, of course, to study medicine or whatever course he or she has chosen. The first process from being an undergraduate to becoming a graduate of medicine or whatever field or whatever course, or discipline he or she has gone to study starts from the very moment you make the decision of becoming what you want. So accountability is quite important if you must make anything meaningful out of life, all right? Whether in business, in your career, in your marriage, it is quite important. Because see, accountability is the framework to measure your level of progress. Where am I? How do I become accountable? How do I measure my progress to see that I'm actually in the right course? It is very important. And that was why I said earlier that accountability doesn't start after you have made a decision. Accountability starts from the very moment you make your decisions. And that's why you have to be very, very careful the decisions you make about yourself. The moment you make any decision, you have activated the first step, of personal growth. And this could be in whatever direction you have carved for yourself, okay? Now, I've seen quite a number of persons who have come to me and say, oh, you know what? I like to be close to you. I like you to mentor me. I like to have some sessions with you and all that. That's not a problem. And I know there are people, who have the same, scenario where people have walked up to you and say, you know what? I just like the way you are. I can see how much you're doing. I like to associate with you so I can grow as well. The problem is not with you telling someone you want them to groom you. The problem lies with you first, determining how to be accountable for yourself. I said you cannot be accountable to people when you are not accountable to yourself. A very good example is one of the stories in the good book that talks about a guy, and I think I've mentioned him in one of my videos before, who really wanted to go live his own life, The moment of accountability was not when he squandered all the money and sat down and queried himself. The moment of accountability started when he made a decision to request for the money from his father. Does that make sense? The moment he woke up and said to himself, I think I've come of age. I need what belongs to me. My father is super rich. So I'm just going to collect all I have or all that is entitled to me, and I'm just going to get out of this house. So the point where he left his father's house and the point at which he spent all he had was not the starting point of his personal growth. The moment he made a decision was the moment he carved a space for himself to have queried himself on his personal growth. And there are a few questions you need to ask yourself about the subject of accountability. All right? I'd like to share those questions with you so you can sit down and ask yourself over and over and over again if these questions are actually intact and you have answers to them. If you have answers to them, congratulations. But if you don't, then your personal growth is in doubt. All right, so the first question that comes to mind, or the first question you must ask yourself in the pursuit of personal growth is, what do I want? What do I want to achieve? Business, sport? Because what you want is the foundation or the starting point of where you're going to be. All right? Accountability is powerful, and that's why you must ask yourself, what? I'm talking about personal growth, and people grow in different dimensions, but you don't want to grow in a direction that will leave you questionable. You don't want to grow in a direction that will leave you questionable, such that, family, friends, and loved ones, and even people who don't even know you, start questioning what has eventually happened to you. What do you want in business? How big do you want your business to be? In your career, how high do you want to climb? I've spent a couple of years in my career, and I understand what it means to grow in that line, right? I started from the least or from the lowest rank, and today we are not doing badly. So the question is, what exactly do you want? Because it propels your pursuit. It propels your appetite. It helps you increase capacity to achieve what you want. Okay? Because if you don't know what you want for yourself, then it's impossible to go in that direction. If you don't know whether to go left or right, then how do you know which way to go? I've often said to my friends, carve a niche for yourself and rule the world. Carve a niche for yourself and rule the world. In the area of photography, aviation, transport, carve a niche for yourself and rule the world. People are ruling their world. Cinematographers are doing excellently well. But you need to carve a niche for yourself. What exactly do you want? You can't tell me you want to be a cinematographer, for instance, and you're using a camera that was invented in 1960. No. You need to know what you want for yourself. That way, you are becoming accountable for your personal growth. Like Sam Adeyemi said in one of his quotes, not all battles are your battle, and not all grounds are your ground. Find your ground. Find your place. Find your place. Remember, I said to you earlier, the process of personal growth is a lifelong process. And I say to you, keep finding yourself. Keep finding yourself. Number 2 question in the question of accountability, or in the area of accountability, which is a first step to personal growth, is why? Why do I want to become an accountant? Why do I want to become an aviator? Why do I want to become a pilot? Now, so you see, it's very important that you become accountable to yourself on why you need certain things. The reason a lot of people have not achieved so much or are still struggling to achieve certain things is because they don't know why. They know what it is, but they don't know why that thing is. All right? There's a need for clarity of purpose if you must be accountable to yourself. A need that is not well defined cannot be accounted for. And that's why you see in some parts of the world, including our country, where certain people cannot account for certain things because the need was not defined. How can you put someone in charge of something and you didn't tell him why. A need not well defined cannot be accounted for. Ask yourself, and you see these things all around, even in our country. People cannot account for certain things because the need was not defined. Oh yes, we know what it was, but they didn't know why that was in place. Okay? So if you must grow, the first question I've said you must ask yourself is, what do I want to do? Or what area do I want to grow in? And then number two, why do I need it? It could be out of passion to support people. It could be out of passion to become a global voice. Why do you need that thing? Why do you want to grow? It's a question of accountability. Guess what? Money doesn't make you grow. Money only amplifies the things inside of you. Money doesn't make you grow. It only amplifies the things inside of you. So when I see people saying, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money. Sorry, anybody could make money. In fact, babies from their cradle makes money already because they are born with a silver spoon. So money really is not a sign of growth. It only amplifies the things inside of you, and that's what it is. All right, so in the question of why, this is one of the things I'm going to tell you, and I'd like you to please take this instruction, okay? Don't pursue growth and excellence for greedy reasons, all right? Posterity will never honor you. Posterity will never honor you. And even if that happens eventually, the end, oftentimes, is always disastrous. Let your goals and the reason why you want to grow be very clear, and of course, to favor humanity, and of course yourself. So the why is very important. Number three, how. I often see people who say to themselves, you know what, I'm just going to make it, I'm going to make it. And I'm asking how. You have to be accountable for yourself on how to make progress. How? There are too many shady things going on out there, and you cannot pitch your life on that pedestal. Somebody blows, and then the next thing you find out how he or she did it, and the next thing you want to go in that direction. The end is always disastrous. Make true progress, and you would enjoy your personal growth, even at your old age, or even at the long run. Those who scheme to get to the top are often disappointed, are often, oftentimes come down in shame. Those who scheme to get to the top oftentimes get down in shame. So you need to ask yourself, how? There are people who are legitimately making progress. There are people who are carving a niche for themselves. I mean, like I said, it could be in the area of sports. How do I go about this? And you can ask people, you can find out from those who are in it already. How? The how question is another key factor if you have to be accountable for yourself. So the simple answer to the question of how is exposure. Exposure. Find yourself among people and places where the question of how can be clearly understood and clearly answered. Read, travel, meet people, then you can answer the question of how. Because the truth is, new things only evolve on the foundation of the old. There are no new things in life. I'm one of those who believe that there are no new things in life. However, new things only are founded on the old. New things are founded on the old. There are really no new things in life. There are only an improvement. We only have improvements, on old things, which of course we call new. But there is nothing absolutely new. The world is evolving. So you need to find out how. Excellence is a journey. It's not a destination. How do I achieve this? How do I improve on what I am doing? How do I push myself? How do I push the limit? How do I achieve more? Keep asking the why question, because it's a tool of accountability. And then finally, in the pursuit of accountability for personal growth, you need to ask yourself, when? This talks about timelines. Now, a pursuit not properly measured might not find achievements. You can only improve on what you are able to measure. When? Have you not heard or have you not seen students who spend 5 or 6 years studying a 4-year course? So You get into a particular thing, you ask yourself, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? Why am I doing it? Then the next question is, when do I want to achieve it? It's a great question for accountability. And there are 4 questions you must ask yourself in the area of accountability. Number 1 is, what do I need? Or what am I pursuing? Or what do I intend to pursue? Number 2 is, why do I intend to pursue them? Number 3 is, how? And then number 4 is, when? Okay? This way, you are able to draw up a template, and then you are able to pursue the things you want for your personal growth. Now, let me say this before I sign out for today. When you understand and you are able to answer these 4 questions, please don't forget to always make notes, all right? Don't forget to always make notes. Don't forget to always review your notes, and don't forget to always update your notes, because these 4 questions are like the catalyst you need, to be able to grow personally. So every time you ask yourself what, why, how, and when, it brings you back to the place where you have to look into your notes and keep making new notes. And if you already have a note, you must ask yourself, what are the things I need to review about my notes? You cannot bring an absolute plan in a new system, because it's really not going to work for you. So you ask yourself, you make notes, and then you review your notes from time to time based on these 4 questions of accountability, and then you can always update your notes. That way, you will remain accountable, and you would gradually grow in the direction you have always planned for yourself. Now, in my next video, I'm going to be talking to you about the next step, which is the letter B. In the process of personal growth, you need to grow up from where you are to where you want to be. Thank you very much for watching this video. So don't forget to subscribe to all our social media handles. There you would find resource materials to help you grow. Till I come your way next time, please don't forget, life was made to be simple. It was never ordained by God to be complicated. All right, thank you, and bye-bye.